Okay, very good. Let me go ahead and okay. So I want to go to our finding this week, and by God's grace, so He's taught us more. And so I have this on the website. Okay, so please do not write anything. Just sit down, relax, and enjoy this discussion here. Okay, so the 19th individual twin Gaussian composite. Okay, a Gaussian composite is a prime number that can be factored out in the complex domain. Okay, complex domain, complex algebra is something that we need to do within the science of mathematics in order to do electrodynamics, electricity and magnetism. We have to do things such as quantum mechanics and things like that. We need complex variables. So these numbers can be factored out in the complex domain. Okay, and the way that you recognize them, that if you subtract 3 from these numbers, the numbers which is left is not divisible by 4. Okay, and so that becomes a Gaussian composite. That number becomes a Gaussian composite. 19 is not a Gaussian composite. Okay, it's called the Gaussian prime. Okay, so anyway, so here the 19th individual twin Gaussian composite is 397, and note the digits. 3 plus 7 is 10 plus 9 is 19. Okay, 397th prime number then becomes 2719. Look at those digits. Those digits are the digits of 9127, aren't they? Okay, this happens to be the 9th permutation, 2719. And 2 plus 7 plus 1 is 10 plus 9 is 19. Okay? So, now let's look at 2719th lonely prime number, and it is 35951. Okay? Now let's look at the properties of this prime number. $35,951 is the 1730th additive prime, and 730 happens to be the number of prime number verses in the entire Quran. Okay, I had problems with it for a long time. I didn't know why it's 1730. I had no idea. Okay, and all of a sudden now we know it today. This number 35951 also happens to be a lonely Gaussian prime, and it happens to be 1365th such number. And now let's see what happens. 1365th revealed verse in the Quran is 1998. The last verse in Surah 19 happens to be 1365th. Okay, as we have known for many years, 9127 is the 19th permutation of 1279. So let us look at the 9th one, which is 2719, and let us see how this number is generated and how it's telling us about the Surah 9 having 127 verses. Okay, there it is. This is about case of Solomon. And Solomon was walking around with his soldiers. And so what happened was he is the ants talking. Okay? Well, you know, a lot of people could laugh at that. That's fine. Okay? We don't care. And they should also produce some story like this and encode it just what we did here. Okay? That's the challenge. So this is again 2719th verse. And as you see here, it's 953rd number which is revealed in the initial surahs in the Quran. No, initial surahs, not an initial surah, initial surah. So that makes it independent of chapter 9 because chapter 9 is uninitial. Okay? So here, he then smiled and laughed at her statement. He laughs at the statement of it's a laugh of joy. and he can understand what this female ant is actually saying. And that, and then immediately said, my Lord, make me be appreciative of your blessings. Okay? Who taught him that? Who taught Solomon to understand the language of the ants? Okay? He knew it. Again, 3,000 years ago, he knew it. Okay? Today we're still having problem with this and struggling with this and all kinds of stuff in our lives, our daily lives. Okay, here. So that you have bestowed upon me and my parents, and do the righteous deed that pleases you, and admit me into your mercy along with your righteous servants. So this is a very good prayers, and God has increased it or extended it to all of us. Okay, so here, let's see here. Yep. Let me go to the Quran and find out in 46:15. So go to 46:15, and let's see, it didn't catch that. So I thought it was 46:15. Okay. So this verse, chapter 46, verse 15, we have enjoined the human being to be kind to his parents. His mother carried him arduously and gave birth to him arduously. It takes 30 months until weaning. At last, when he reaches maturity and reaches 40 years, he says, Lord, make me be grateful to you for your blessings that you have bestowed upon me and upon my parents, and do the righteous work to please you, and grant me righteous heirs. Indeed, I repent to you, and indeed I am one of the peace offerers. You see the similarity between these two, the prayers. So there's the prayers that you should do. Okay. Anyway, so let me go back to where we were before, and let's see here. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so let's look at 953, and 953. The number to note here is the order of revelation of verses in the initial chapters, as I said, which is 953. The underlying number, 953, is the index of composite 1143, and 1143 is 9 times 127. Okay? Now let's see what happens, okay? So I'm going to go through the history of this thing. Historical relations of 1365. Okay? So I put asterisks here because these are Milan's findings, and I have referred to them at the bottom. Okay? So the asterisk means these are his findings. Okay? And so 1365 is the 1146 composite. 114, Surah 114 Surah has 6 verses immediately. Okay? 13, remember now, this is the coming from 1998, which is the last verse in chapter 19. 1365 comes from there. It's the number of revealed verses in the initial surahs. Okay? So 1365, okay, so it is, okay, the index of the, okay, 1365 is 3 times 5 times 7 times 13. And the index of these prime factors are 2, 3, 4, 6. Again, 2, 3, 4, 6 is 1998 composite, and Surah 19 has 98 verses. Okay? So you see? So that Surah already has the number there. Okay? 2346 is 23 times 2 times 3 times 17, and the indices of these prime number factors are 9127. Okay, the reason I put that 23 first instead of put 2, 3, 17, and 23, because 9127 is the 19th permutation. Okay? The 19th permutation of 2346 is 6234, which is the total number of numbered verses in the Quran. So 114.6 is 6,234th numbered verse in the Quran. Okay? Important note now. Okay? So, what did we learn? Although we have known about items 1 through 8 for many years, the new findings of 2719 lonely prime being 35951, and the fact that it is the 1730th additive prime, as well as its index 1362 in the domain of lonely Gaussian primes, makes it possible to verify these facts with the half version of the Qur'ans in circulations. Can you imagine that? The reason behind it is that this is because the addition of 9128 and 9129 will not change the count of the prime number verses in the Quran, since neither 128 nor 129 is a prime number. Truth cannot be destroyed. Okay? Isn't that amazing? So, for all of these 1 through 8, you said, well, you eliminated those two verses and you came up with this thing. No, sir, that's not the case. Why? Because of this situation. Okay? 1730 is the number of prime number verses in the entire Quran, which is independent of two numbers, 128 and 129, because neither of them are primes. So that count would be undisturbed. Okay. And then now this idea, 35951, adds this huge gravitas to everything else. Okay? So it gives us more reassurance that, look, you are doing the right thing. That's what God has given us, the reassurance. Okay? And again, as I said, we should be grateful to Him. Okay? And we should ask Him to make us, force us to be grateful to Him for the blessings that He's given us. That should be your prayers. Okay? Chapter 46, verse 15. Especially if you've reached the age of 40. Okay? That's what you should do. So this is the design of the Almighty. And again, God says that He is the possessor of the most powerful argument. Okay. So let me go ahead and stop here.